What's up, Squadron? Aviation has given me a ton of amazing experiences.
Good job there. Nice rock, high wing.
But more importantly, it's introduced me to a whole new family of friends.
Like, dude, you're killing it. You're having a great day.
So just never give up.
Airport, and then, oh, by the way, I got carb ice while I was flying through, so the engine started running rough. And I had to
Join us tonight as we're cleared direct for some hangar flying. I am Bryon Bowman, and this is SuperAero Live.
That's a lot. I mean, a lot of cookies. What's up, Av Geeks? Whoa, hot on the mic. It's Wednesday, which can only mean one thing. It's time for another episode of SuperAero Live. I'm Ryan Dembroski. Do I ever say that every week? Sometimes I don't say that. You don't even know who I am. I could be anybody. I could be anybody in his basement talking about airplanes. I want to say hi to the folks in the chat. Looks like the gang's all filing in. Zach Sherman, Red Baron Modeling, 782 Papa's here. Scarface is here. Everyone's excited to be here. James Hyatt, Jonathan Christman, Canyon K, I see you. How are you? Marty's in the chat. Scrolling down, Jason Follas is in the chat. Jason bought some Girl Scout cookies from my daughter. Unexpectedly. Thanks for that, man. I appreciate that. She was so excited. She was like, who is this? And I was like, oh, let me tell you about this guy I know. Anyway, so great to see all of you here. What a crazy episode last week. Go check that out. We had one of the Sky Typers on. Chris Thomas was on, and he did it from the Denver airport. And the sound was a little hard sometimes, but it was pretty cool to hear about how they do the Sky Typing, how they do all the aerobatics in the SNJs. Pretty amazing. Speaking of pretty amazing, one of the cool things that happens to me with the National STOL thing that I get to help out with is I get to travel over the United States announcing this cool aircraft competition. But just this past December, I got to meet, that you're going to see in just a second, I get to meet the folks who are on the stream tonight, Mike and the Lakeland Aero Club. Let me pull them up. We got a lot to talk about, but this is a first for the broadcast. Check it out. We got like a whole group of dudes. Just all hanging there. Okay, I'm gonna introduce you guys left to right. So we got Mike Z on the left. He's the mastermind of all this thing. We got Nick Poucher, who we're gonna talk about his flying in a second. We got Andrew. You're like, it's French. Don't mispronounce it. Is it Lumpuy?
Close enough.
No, what is it? We gotta get it right for posterity.
It's Lumpuy.
Lumpuy. See, I should have written it phonetically. You were like, it's Lumpuy, and I'm like, Lumpuy. C'est la vie, Lumpuy. All right. I got a bigger laugh from you guys than I thought it would. And then Nolan Finley on the end there, and I'm pretty sure I met all four of you guys when I was down in Lakeland doing the announcing thing, doing the whole. I'll put there. It's not so awkward for you. Doing the whole National STOL thing, like basically in your backyard, and you guys hosted the event. And you were so generous with your space and all the other stuff. But yeah, so sorry. Before we dive down memory lane too far, I don't know, Mike, if you want to give us kind of like the elevator pitch for Lakeland Aero Club. When did it start? What is it? What's it about?
So Lakeland Aero Club has been around for about 9 years. We are the largest high school flying club in the world. Nick Poucher, who is my chief of staff, actually graduated from CFAA, the Central Florida Aerospace Academy, in 2017. He's a private pilot with an instrument rating, working towards his commercial. He's also running for Florida State House of Representatives.
There you go.
We're all kind of pulling for him to, push the aviation, agenda in the state of Florida. Andrew here has been working on his AMP and his private pilot's license. He's on a Ray Scholar thing through EAA. Nolan Finley here at the end is pretty remarkable because he is the youngest private pilot probably in the country right now because he has a private glider rating at the age of 16. And
There you go.
we are all about young people flying. That's our agenda. We work with Anitra Goddard to put on the STOL competition here this year. It was an honor to host it. We had a lot of fun, and Nick is going to tell you about his experience with it. And I'm going to turn the rest of the show over to them.
Wait! Take a step. Just give me the one little elevator pitch, though. Because what's the purpose of Lakeland Aero Club? Like, if you had to distill it down to one little, I mean, you do a lot, but like, what is it about?
All right, so Sun of Fun Flying, a little air show we have down here in Lakeland in April. Raise a lot of money that goes into scholarships for young people to learn how to fly. So you're a junior in high school and you have your private pilot's license. And now what? Okay, we're the now what. We get young people to keep flying. We have a fleet of Cubs. We have 3 Cubs and a Cessna 150, all very slow. It's 3 hours to the Georgia border in any of our airplanes. So if you want to build time, that's what we do. We got to build time to get to our commercial or our instrument and all of that stuff. And we try to make it fun along the ways. We teach formation flying. We do a lot of formation flying. We do aerobatic training with Greg Kuntz and Patty Wagstaff. Our motto is making tomorrow's greatest aviators today. We're not into primary flight training. Hosting National STOL, I watched our guys participate in the National STOL. Every single one of our guys that went into that competition came out better. One of my favorite things about National STOL is no matter where you're coming from, no matter what airplane you're flying, you can fly in this competition and be better for having done it.
Yeah, and that's separately, like, what was exciting to me. I guess let me show some. You sent some photos over, but what was exciting to me on a number of levels was that class that you guys were competing in the Cubs, like, it's almost like a formula class, and so it was this great equalizer, and you've got like these super young pilots sitting next to you, like competing against guys who've been flying for 60 years or whatever, and like still holding their own. Let me hear there. Like, this is, well, that's maybe not the photo of that, but that's a pretty epic photo. But
that's us with Greg Kuntz. Nick's in the front seat, and one of the things we do is we work with Greg Kuntz air shows. We go up there every October, do some aerobatics and some flight training, tail wheel, advanced stuff. Our commitment to making tomorrow's greatest aviators today involves getting the best instructors and the best people to train these young guys to be the best they can be.
Awesome. So Nick, I guess we're just gonna go left to right. Sorry about that, Nolan. You're in the end. So, by the way, everyone in the chat, we'll check into the chat real quick before we dig in. So, folks in the chat, they're wondering. Canyon K and a couple other... Yeah, Canyon K is wondering if Nolan's hat is allowed. Is that against the uniform code, or is that okay? They're just messing with you, Nolan.
It's only because it's Fly Lakeland. It's a good airport, so we're allowed.
Oh, is that what it's... So that was the next thing, is they're going to say, we can't read it on the stream, but it's a Fly Lakeland hat. Yeah. That's fine.
Put it close to the camera so you can see it.
Oh, there we go.
Lakeland. That's the Lakeland International Airport logo and hat.
They're just messing with you.
Flagged out.
They're just messing with you guys. Okay, so So let's go. They're all, and now everyone's like, now we know what the hat says, and we can go to bed. Okay, so Nick, I want to talk about, where should we start? Because you guys have done all this training. I noticed, I was going to ask about the Kuntz thing, because when you were getting your trophy, I noticed you're wearing like a Greg Kuntz Airshow shirt. But like, should we start at building the Cub, or where should we start, guys? Where do you want to, it's your show. The world's your oyster.
I guess we can start at building the Cub. That's kind of the process that got us to the competition there.
Okay, yeah. So I think you sent me a photo of that somewhere. Well, that's cool. But we'll talk about that. That, right? That's you guys like wrenching on it.
Yep.
Yeah, getting to work.
So talk to me about this Cub that you guys built.
So we built, during the Sun and Fun Flying last year, we built a kit Cub. It's a Patriot Aircraft Recruit Cub. It's kind of a newer model of a Super Cub. It's a little bit wider body, kind of get a little more performance. It's a modern version of a Cub. So what we wanted a Cub that was still fun to fly, but we got a little more performance out of it, and it was just a modern version. If you were trying to build something today that you would still want to have fun with, but maybe get a little bit more out of and be a little more comfortable, what would we go for? And the Recruit Cub is what we got. So that was built up in Alabama by Patriot Aircraft, and we had about 25 of our high school members work on that Cub during the week of Sun and Fun. We finished the whole kit and built the engine during that week, and then we sent it up to Alabama, where we had a couple of our guys go up and actually work for the summer to do the cover and the painting on the airplane.
That's awesome. So, and I think if my photos are out of order, is that so you're wrenching on it, and then is that one of these two aircraft? You mentioned all the formation.
That's a couple of our other planes. I think it's just a nice picture we threw up there.
We do
That's pretty epic.
Formation flying here, so we feel like formation flying, military has used it for years. Formation flying can teach you more about pitch and power and energy management than anything else, and so we do a lot of that here.
And that's really interesting to me, because separately, like last week, we had this like professional formation pilot on, and he was giving us a lot of tips about how to get started in formation flight, but most of it was like, take it easy, right? And I think so it's cool to see that that's part of like a program, because it is you're talking about that guy flying JetBlue professionally, flying sky typing, and like the formation flying is the thing that keeps him hooked to aviation, even though he's like, flying JetBlue's pretty nice, right? The pretty nice spam cams around. But anyway, okay, I want to go through here. So this is you working with Greg Kuntz. Nick, tell me a little bit about like, how did you find aviation?
So I started, the earliest, I was always kind of interested in it, but the earliest memory I really have of what got me involved was my mom signed me up for a summer camp out here at Sun and Fun. That kind of introduced me to a little more in-depth knowledge of kind of aviation as an industry and what it is. And part of that is actually going on, kind of doing a flight lesson. I don't know how much I was learning when I was like 9 years old. But for me, it was entertaining. The flight instructor was probably terrifying. But from then on, I kind of decided that was something I wanted to pursue, and that was something that I kind of continued moving towards. And I attended the Central Florida Aerospace Academy out here on the Sun and Fun campus, and got a scholarship to learn how to fly. And that's kind of how I ended up where I am now.
That's awesome. Andrew, I'm curious about I guess as we go down the line, like Andrew, how did you get involved in all this craziness?
Well, I've been a gearhead all my life. My dad works on diesel trucks and stuff like that, and he's raced, and I raced go-karts since I was 4 years old. And I was in 8th grade, and my mom basically sat there and told me that I'm not going to be a bum in life, and she said that I need to do something about it. So
you need to know his mom to get this whole story.
So we started looking around, and we went to this thing that they have at our civic center, and it's like a demo where they show like all these high schools. And we came across Central Florida Aerospace Academy, which is the school that we have here on the Sun and Fun grounds. And we started looking into it, and they had opportunities to get your pilot's license and to get your A&P license. And at first, I really didn't think much about aviation. I was never into airplanes. But she was like, just try it. If you don't like it, we can try something else. So I went there freshman year. And at first, I was just like, oh, it's airplanes. I've been around cars my whole life. Like, this isn't really cool. And then they have something where they call a freshman flight. And every year, the freshmen that come in can go up and do a flight. They have like these people who volunteer, and they have different planes like Cirruses, Moonies, and Cubs and stuff like that. And I flew up in a Cirrus. And at first I was kind of scared because I'd never flown in like a little airplane before. I didn't know what to expect. And then I just started kind of liking it. And then I kind of got involved in the mechanic program that they have. And then I came and joined Aero Club in 10th grade. And they had that white Cessna 150 that you probably saw around the hangar.
Sure.
And that plane was torn apart. There was nothing in the fuselage. The carpet, all the inspection covers had no engine on it. When I joined, they just got a Continental 0200 that wasn't built yet. And nobody was working on it. And I just came up one day, and I was like, how do I get involved? And Mike was just like, we have this Cessna 150 if you like to work on it. And I said, I'm down. And we have a volunteer. His name's Gordon. He's an AMPIA. And I started working on that with him. We built the engine. When we started building the engine, I started liking it a lot. I was like, this is actually kind of cool. This is fun. And then after that, we started working on all the electronics. After I finished the electronics, we started on the fuel systems, ran all the fuel lines and the fuselage, and all that good stuff. Then after that, we put basically the airplane back together. And then at the end of it, I was hooked. I was doing it because I like to do it. I didn't really think that much of it. It was just like, oh, wow, the plane's done and it's flying now. And the time went by so fast, and I was like, I could get used to this. And then Mike saw some passion in me, and he sat down and talked to me, and he's like, you could go further in life with this stuff. You have a good head for it. And I was just like, I do it. I'm doing it because I like to do it, and I have fun doing it. And then started talking to my mom and stuff like that, and it was just something that we agreed that it was pretty good for me to do. And then it was Sun and Fun 2019, I believe. We were building a engine for one of our Cubs, and with the Dawn's Dream Machines and seeing the aviation, they came down here, and for the week we built the engine for one of our Cubs. And then at the end of Sun and Fun, they came up to me and asked if I would like to go do an internship with them for the summer. So it was the last day of school. The next day, me and my mom and my stepdad, we drove up to Alabama, and I spent my whole summer there working on airplanes, doing paint, fabric, electronics, running fuel lines, assembly and rigging, building engines. And then I was just like, yeah, this is what I want to do. That's up there in Alabama, that picture right there. That's whenever there was 2 kids up there that we sent for the summer doing the same internship that I was doing, and they were finishing it up, putting the engine back on the airplane. It just got done getting painted and stuff like that. But then I came back down here, started doing school. Then I joined the A&P program, and started going through that. And then 12th grade year, I went homeschooled because I wanted to graduate early to finish up my A&P. And then so I graduated like 4 months early, and now I'm working on my A&P, my private pilot's license. So far I got my general done. Now I just got to sit and do my airframe and power plant. But that's basically the story of me getting involved into aviation.
And I want to say something. He soloed in a PA-11 tail dragger in December.
Yeah, right after the Stoll comp, the Cub that Nick flew, not this year, but the past year, I soloed that like 2 weeks right after the Stoll comp.
Oh, rock on, man!
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I've been like one of us. Yeah. I was just saying that to Anitra, who you guys know, because she's just started her training. Okay, wait. So let's keep going then. So Nolan, the man in the hat that everybody wants to know about your hat. No, I'm just kidding. So tell me about how you're like, you've got a pretty cool accolade that we heard about. Like, what's your intro to aviation story?
So I've always been around aviation. It's never been something that I've looked at as a career ever. But I started, my real introduction to aviation was my first airline flight to New York. And then I got a few pictures of me in the cockpit in the captain's seat. And then it just kind of progressed through the airlines, just flying over the country, and a few helicopter tours. And I was really big into law enforcement. So in 8th grade, I was really looking forward to going to the military and as an MP. So I was approached by a recruiter, and he said that if I wanted to go into the service as an MP, to either join the Marines or the Air Force. So naturally, I chose the Air Force. And
Naturally.
I would talk to my guidance counselor, and she said that there was only one AFJRTC unit in the county, and then that was at Kathleen High School. And through Kathleen High School, I found out about the Central Florida Aerospace Academy, who they really gave me my real taste of aviation. And then that's where I met Mike in the Lakeland Aero Club, and that's really where it begins.
So, you still have your eyes set on A&P, or are you now like, throw me in an F-35, coach? Like, what's your?
I'm throwing me an F-35, coach.
Yeah, they could. You could still put the the MP logo on the side of it, probably. Well, maybe not with the radar stuff, but like, you could do policing from that with an F-35. It'd be pretty effective.
So Nolan is probably right now the youngest private pilot in the country because he's 16 years old with a private pilot glider. We have a relationship with Seminole Lake Glider Park, and Nolan went out there. We put him into a glider, and he soloed when you were 15 years old, and finished up his private glider. When did you finish that up?
It was 2 weeks that we were on Christmas break.
Christmas break. And his instructor, who is 85 years old, been teaching glider students his whole life, was a Dutch guy, was in the Dutch Air Force teaching students to fly, said that he's in the top 5 students he's ever taught. I'm really proud of him.
That's big shoes to fill now. That's
No
amazing.
pressure.
So, I mean, and gliders, like, it's a yeah, Marty in the chat says, throw some berries and cherries on an F-35. So like, glider training, though, is like, I mean, that's like, go back to Miracle on the Hudson, like Sully, right? He's like, that's the only reason we lived. I'm paraphrasing.
We have a program called PIC at 14, and we really believe that if we can put a 14-year-old in a glider and an airplane without an engine and teach them to solo it and land it in the same place consistently again and again in changing conditions, changing patterns, changing whatever, if we can do that at 14, we're making really amazing citizens, amazing pilots.
Yeah.
And that's what we're focusing on is our Aero Club is about, we say it's making tomorrow's greatest aviators today, but really it's making tomorrow's greatest citizens today. If we can teach you the situational awareness to allow you to fly an airplane with an engine and land in the same place again and again, you're going to be better at whatever you do.
100%. And I think there's something about, I mean, I wish I had been exposed to all the stuff that you guys are. I mean, you're not just exposed. Like, you're all putting in work, right? You're all putting in work. Why are you laughing?
You don't know how much work these guys do.
No, that's my point. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like it's not just like it's one thing to like get a ride or whatever, but it's the other thing. Like, there's all this extra stuff that takes a ton. That's what I was headed, right? Is you guys are all putting in work, right? I wish I had the opportunity to put that work in when I was your age. I think it builds. My point was going to be that it builds character, right? Like, it's not for me and my growth as a human person, right? Like, it wasn't until I was put into a structured environment, like in college, where I finally started to like see what it's like to like, you know, be part of something larger than yourself, for example. So like that, I don't know. The mission is, it's resonating with me, Mike. I'm saying like, yeah, I get it. So Nolan, that's really cool though. And I'm glad that we've got another F-35 pilot being trained, ready to go. So I've got a bunch of photos here that we could maybe just see what happened. This is the plane you guys built, right? Let's go back to that for a second. That was up in Alabama, you said?
Yeah, that was up in Alabama at Patriot Aircraft.
That was the finishing touches. So we built the airplane during the week of Sun and Fun, built the airframe and the engine, and then the good folks at Air Tech Coatings, Robbie, donated the fabric and the paint, and they're up in Alabama, and we were working with Don at Patriot Aircraft. So a couple of our guys went up there and spent the summer learning how to cover, paint, do all this stuff, finish, on our way to Oshkosh on our 7th trip to Oshkosh. We stopped, we put pieces on the airplane, and we kept on going. The airplane was finished. The phase 1 flight testing was done in September. We brought it back here. Nick started working out in the airplane with the intention of going to National Stoll in December here at Lakeland. And the results sort of speak for themselves. We'll talk about that in a minute. So that's what we do is to empower young people to build an airplane and do something. When I talk about our trip, stopping up there on our trip to Oshkosh, this was our 7th trip to Oshkosh. Almost 40 teenagers have flown themselves across this great country in 7 trips to Oshkosh in airplanes older than their grandparents. When I say they fly themselves, they are flying themselves. It's normally 3 to 5 airplanes, 6 to 8 to 10 teenagers, and I'm flying along and somebody's doing their dual cross country across the country.
That's amazing.
You follow us. There is nothing like our program in the country. And
that's really amazing.
That.
That's hardcore. I mean, that's a hardcore trip.
That's like a week each way and a week at Oshkosh. It's our whole summer.
Yeah, I mean,
75 miles an hour.
No, that's what I was going to say. It's like you're going super slow.
It involves 7 states, at least a half a dozen sectionals. Oh my God.
You can cover my living room in sectionals to plan the trip to Oshkosh.
I would also just like to point out that it's cool that you guys know what paper sectionals are.
I'm not saying I use them. I'm just saying I have used them.
All you need to know is what they are. And for folks who maybe are less familiar with aviation watching, like, that's a serious flight in a small aircraft. For any, like, that's a milestone flight, right? Like, even my training, I think the furthest I've flown, like on my own, is like 300 miles. Like to do a trip of that length is pretty hardcore, and to do it in an aircraft like a Cub, like you mentioned, Nick, going 75 miles an hour. Like, you got some time, to put in.
You get to know who you're with.
Yeah.
Building. It's here's the fun part is that most of these kids in Florida haven't been out of the state of Florida. And we fly across the mountains. We stop at our friend's Wayne's place in Tennessee. with a little mountain runway, and they're landing on a runway that looks like this, cut in the trees, upsloping mountains. These kids have never seen mountains, and now they're landing on a mountain runway. They come back from the trip seeing how great this country is and how vast it is. And, you know, you get out there and the aviation community I grew up with is, oh, you need something, you need a car, something's broken down, and people help you. We said, this is not an easy trip. And we've had, our airplane broke down at Oshkosh in 2018, and the aviation community stepped up to help us get it home. These young people get a chance to see the world that I grew up in, where aviation was about helping each other.
Yeah.
And what we try to do here at Lakeland Aero Club is give these young guys the opportunity to see how aviation helps you get on to whatever the next thing is, whether it's fixing your airplane to go to the next place, or getting on to your next rating, or being mentored into a career in aviation.
So let's talk a little bit about this photo.
Nick.
Let's talk like that. And, I don't remember what I was announcing. I was probably pretty tired by that moment in the streams. But talk to me a little bit about that experience. I mean, pretty challenging conditions, if I remember correctly, on one of the days.
Yeah, I mean, so my first introduction to kind of STOL in general was not this last competition, but the one before. And I flew a PA-11, stock PA-11 in it. Really had no intention of necessarily performing podium-wise. We were just kind of doing it for fun and to kind of see what we could get out of the airplane. And me and one of my other friends flew the PA-11, and we both had a great time. And it kind of was almost like, it was kind of a hook, kind of when you go flying for the first time and you get excited for aviation. It was almost like that all over again. It was very fun flying. So the next competition came around, and we had just finished our new airplane. So of course we had to fly that one. Except this time we could compete. We had a new airplane, a little more performance, a little stronger airplane. So we got a little bit of practice in that, and ended up being able to win the new light sport class in National STOL. But that picture was coming in on one of the landings, getting in ground effect, getting kind of a high angle of attack and trying to slow it down and hit the line.
Yeah, and that class is 100 horsepower, no flaps. This is just another view of the aircraft. I mean, what would you say your biggest take? I mean, obviously awesome that, well, here, let's fast forward for a second. All these cool pictures you guys flying around. And I'm assuming that's it. That's it before it got put together.
Yep.
But there's one I'm looking for.
Here's the thing I like about National STOL. I've watched these guys participate in National STOL, and I see other people participate in National STOL. What I love about this event is most people can compete, and if they compete, they'll be better for having competed. It pushes you, but it's not dangerous. We're not doing anything crazy. We're just taking off and landing short, and that's a pretty big challenge. And I think that every pilot that participates in it is a better pilot for it, having done it. It's a lot of fun. I watch these guys grow, the change in him and his confidence, all that stuff. There's no lose with National STOL. We are such a big fan, and we look forward to hosting them again here in December again.
Especially when we win.
Especially when we win.
I mean, what's cool? I mean, you're hitting on something that's super cool. Not to make this like the, I promise National STOL did not sponsor this live stream, but like what's cool about it is like you've got in that class, let's say, right? You guys are being like super competitive, but you also have a guy who like brought an old Taylorcraft observation plane, which is at a huge disadvantage because it's like basically glider wings, right? It's not made to like a Cub is always going to be more competitive based on the shape of the wing. I don't know. We were hanging around the campfire. We was talking about how, but he's just there to have fun, right? And just compete and like see what he can do. And so that's super cool. I want to fast forward a second. That's a pretty good. I mean, you're pretty close to the line right there.
That's probably a takeoff. That's kind of far from the line for me.
Oh, you're probably right. You know, it's probably more the position of the look at the tail. I think tells the story. I think
It probably is takeoff. Probably.
that was a good flex though. Speaking of flex,
you set it up too good for me.
no, that's what I'm here. I said it, you spike it. There you go. Great trophy. I don't know who that jerk ball in the background is with the plaid shirt on. That's like the coolest trophy ever. Where's that in your house? Is that in your house or is it in the Aero Club?
That's hanging up in the club right now. We put it on top of on top of one of the shelves that's kind of in our main clubhouse area when you walk in the club.
I think the guys just went to go.
We definitely
went to go get it.
that with pride.
That's so cool.
I just had an article come out in Aviation that I wrote, and one of the things I talked about is I may have been the one flying it, but it's not. I didn't take it home to my house because it's not my win. It's a team win. There's a lot of us that come together, a lot of us that work on the airplane, a lot of us that help out to get prepared. There's a lot more that goes into the competition than just flying it. So it's not for me to take home. It's really for us to all be proud of.
There it is.
And there it is.
There you go. Yeah, well earned. So what's next then? Well, I want to talk to each of you guys about what's next, but like obviously you got like you've got an election coming up, which is a whole separate podcast. But like what's up for you aviation wise? Like where's the next step for you? Where are you taking it next?
Yeah, so I have all my minimums for my commercial other than my complex time. So I'm just trying to finish up some complex or TAA time, finish that check ride up. I'm focusing on the election right now before I kind of move heavy into the commercial aviation side of things. But win or lose on that, following the election, I'll finish up my commercial and start looking for jobs flying commercially. Preferably skydivers. I skydive as well for fun, so it's kind of that'd kind of be a fun job to have until I can hit ATP minimums. But we'll see what happens.
Dude, that's also super hard. Like jump flying is there's some impressive deck angles. Gotta churn and burn.
Yeah, we see a lot of videos when it goes wrong and you're spinning a plane next to everyone jumping out. So you definitely have to be sharp.
Yeah, there was that viral one with the King Air or whatever a little bit ago. All right, so Andrew, I'm gonna ask you the same thing. I mean, your AMP obviously put a lot of time into the plane that won. Sounds like helped build that and everything. What's next for you? What's the next bit?
So I'm just gonna finish up my getting my private pilot's license and my AMP, and then I got a few job offers. Haven't really decided on where I'm gonna go, but have the idea of where I'm gonna go. And hopefully, right after Sun and Flint, I'll get kicked off on that and be somewhere working on airplanes. My goal is I wanted my pilot's license just so I could fly and hopefully one day have my own airplane. But what I want to do is be an AMP mechanic. So
that's awesome. Very cool. And I think, obviously you've got the foundation.
Oh yeah.
Like to do that already. Especially if you're wrenching on Cubs, like that's, you kind of almost learn every technique, right? Except for like, I don't know, there's no like, you're not like wrenching on like a titanium turbine blade or anything, but like,
No.
but everything else. Nolan, talk to me about what's next. You've got a little bit more further to go in school and stuff, but like you're still cranking away. What's next for you?
Oh yeah. So in a few short months here, I'll start my private pilot training. and then we'll hit from there. I plan to get the endorsement the same time for tail wheel, and then just take it one step at a time. I'll take whatever I can get.
Talk a little bit about your glider stuff.
So with my glider stuff, that was all on scholarship through the PIC at 14, even though I started at 15. But it was a really cool experience, taking someone that really hasn't had anything as far as flying in aviation, being an aviator, especially a first-generation aviator, because I'm the only aviator in my family. It was a really cool experience to be able to do something that not many other people have done. And it was also a really big learning curve in my life. It kind of showed me a lot as to what the world holds for me.
All right, so now I want to dig into some, like, we're gonna go deep now. We made it this far. We made it this far into the interview. I want to ask you guys, okay, right? You guys have worked really hard. You put in the time, no question, to get where you're at. You're having a lot of great success. If you had one piece of advice you could give an aspiring aviator, and honestly, guys, like, some of these aspiring aviators are probably like grown men and women, right? Like, there's people enter aviation from all different times in their lives. What's one piece of advice you guys would give them about what you know, based on what you've learned at the Aero Club?
Start
with you.
with me.
No.
Nolan, all the way down there.
One piece of information that I would give someone to starting out in aviation is just don't rush it. Take your time, learn at your pace, because that's what your CFI is for. Your CFI is not being paid to just get you done in 2 weeks and to your flying. Your CFI is there to help you along the way. So just take your time, learn at your pace.
That's like very mature. That was like a very mature piece of advice.
This kid's a rock star.
Andrew, what about you? We'll go right to left.
Just don't ever give up. The only people who can hold you down is yourself. Of course, take your time. Don't ever be afraid to ask questions. The only dumb question is the one that's not asked. And like I said, aviation is such a small community. Everybody knows everybody. So at the end of the day, it's just like one big family. You know, you can't be scared to go out there and try something new. The only way you can learn from it is by trying it. So just go for it.
I love it. Dude, you guys are dropping like philosophy. All right, Nick, you like the bar's been set really high.
Yeah.
I know it's a high standard. I'd say, like, getting started, regardless of where you're at, you just have to do it. You have to focus down, get through the writtens. Those are the parts that aren't fun. But aside from that, when you get into flying, especially after you get your private, and you pass your check ride, and maybe if you're in a position to buy an airplane or you get an airplane, just make sure you're focusing, and getting the right training, because in other things in life, you can get away with maybe doing things, cutting some corners. But in this world, there's real consequences that can affect your life and other people's lives. So you just have to focus. It can be safe but it's only safe if we make it safe. So just make sure to always be focusing on what you're doing and take everything seriously.
You guys are so mature and well adjusted. It's making me uncomfortable. Mike, different perspective for you, but like, as someone who's kind of in charge of like raising this generation of aviators up, like, what do you have any like thoughts about people wanting to follow their dreams?
It's all about mentoring, right? At the end of the day, I was 16 years old. I soloed an airplane before my dad would let me solo the family car, and I was riding a 10-speed to a little airport to go do my flying lessons, and I hung out with people who kind of helped me and guided me, and I'm blessed to be able to be the person holding down the rope to help them climb up. no matter where you start in aviation, whether you start at 40 or 50 or 60 years old starting to learn to fly, or whether you're a teenager, it's really important to identify a mentor who's going to help you kind of get across the goal line. It's a big thing to learn to fly. Not many people do it, and there aren't many people who can, kind of help you navigate the path. So it's really important for those of us that are in aviation, who are established in aviation, to recognize there's somebody knocking at the door who wants to learn what we know, and we can't not hold down the rope if we've already, kind of made it up someplace. And that's what we do here. And the fun thing about this is Nick's 22 and Nolan is 16, and you're seeing an example of me holding on the rope, and he's holding on the rope, and he's holding on the rope. That's how we get there. And it's so important. And, EAA and AOPA and what we do here at Sun and Fun is all about mentoring and holding on the rope for the next person to get to the next place.
Yeah, I don't remember who said it, but someone said something similar in, I work in the film industry, and someone said something similar about, like, hey, if you're at the top floor or even the middle floors, like, it's your responsibility to send the elevator back down, right? Like, you gotta, like, keep it more. I love that. I love that. This is awesome. You guys are super inspiring. I love what you're doing down there. It's exciting for me to get to learn more about all of you after just, like, basically partying with you guys for a weekend. But, like, do you guys, can we play a game real quick before we sign off for the night? Are you into that?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, this will be good practice for you, Nick, before you get on the hot seat with your political career. All right. I'm not going to ask any hard-hitting questions, though. So this is a game called...
No political questions are allowed.
No, we're not going... This is airplanes only tonight. So... he was all gearing up like, oh, man, here we go. No, so we... if you've never watched before... By the way, if you've never watched SuperAero Live before, make sure to subscribe, like, share, all that stuff. That helps the show a lot. You guys should, and then also you can join the Patreon thing. We just had Brian Garrett join the Patreon SuperAero Squadron. Get access to Discord and Zoom chats and all that stuff. Anyway, that's not why we're here. We're here to play a game called Short Final. The rules are that there basically are no rules. I'm gonna throw out a bunch of questions. You guys just shout out whatever comes to your mind first. There are no points or all the points. You've either won or lost. It's up to you. It's your decision. So I'm going to put some music on here real quick. I'm going to get a timer going. And the first one we always ask, because it's a favorite of the folks in the audience, is north up or track up on the GPS, or I guess sectional.
Oh, track up.
Track up.
Track up. That's not even a question.
See, I think more people go track up if they've done, like, the sectional, right? Okay, what about favorite airport you've ever landed at? All you guys, I want to know.
Crooked Island Lodge, down in the Bahamas.
Oh, there you go.
That's cool.
No one else?
My favorite's probably the Mountain Stroh Hub in Tennessee that we go to on the way to Oshkosh, but one of my personal favorites.
88TN.
Yeah, 88TN. But I also like Arcadia Municipal. They have great tacos on Tuesday.
All right, what about your favorite passenger you've ever had, or something like that?
I took my mom flying. I feel like I have to. Like, she has to be my favorite passenger, right?
All right.
Yeah, I took my mom too. So.
Andrew Nolan, we're a little over time, but Andrew, I want to throw with this one too. What's your favorite warbird, like vintage warbird?
Corsair.
Oh,
Corsair. What about you, Andrew? Where are you at?
time on this.
It's hard.
One warbird, only one.
I like P-51.
P-51. It's classic. It's a classic answer. That was fun. I hope you guys had fun with that. There you go. I just gave you the skills to win the election, Nick.
I appreciate that.
No,
I
totally
don't have to
kidding.
report that as like an in-kind contribution or something like that.
Oh, you guys are a trip. Okay, dudes, this has been so fun. We're just about out of time, but I mean, we've got a few minutes before we do. I wanted to, I don't know, there's like all these pretty pictures that you sent, and look at it. You guys,
Brian, I would say the same thing to you that you said just a minute ago. Please view, like, subscribe, and share our YouTube, our social media. We have a lot of really cool stuff out there. A lot. And all of our YouTube stuff has been produced by teenagers. So when you go and look at Lakeland Aero Club on YouTube, everything you see, the videography, the production, the music, every single one of them was done by high school students. So pretty please view it, like it, subscribe, share it. That's how we keep doing what we're doing. I mean, we are a not-for-profit charity. We get a little bit of our money from Sun and Fun. We get a little bit of money from the Ray Foundation. But at the end of the day, we have to raise a lot of money to make this program go forward. And the only way we can do it is support from people in the aviation community who go, wow, that's really cool. How can we help? So I'm hoping that your viewers and the people at National Stoll and the people who come to Sun and Fun come in and see what we do. Our hangar is always open to just help us keep moving this forward. So more young people like the people you've met tonight are going to get the opportunity to advance their careers in aviation, and we can't do it alone.
No, that's super huge. I was gonna ask, where should people find you and stuff? You sent me some links. I'll make sure they're in the description of the show so people can click through. We'll get you guys set up on the YouTube stuff and go check it out. It's a lot of cool stuff, and it's also, I mean, here's the thing, like, not to like wax poetic for a second, but like look at this, right? Like think about
a lot of that.
Like. I think, there's some value to making sure that more people get to experience that, right? I don't know.
Yes.
Yes.
Hopefully your viewers agree.
No, everyone go support the Lakeland Aero Club. Again, like you guys were, I think the other thing too is we talk about like sending the elevator, sending the rope back down. Like, one of the other things that is really cool was that like grassroots aviation side of things. When I walked into the hangar in December, just like kind of tired and bleary-eyed from traveling all day, like everyone there was super warm, super welcoming. Like everyone wants to help, talk. It's so much passion in the hangar, right? Like all of this. I guess what I'm saying is like he's telling you the truth. Like this is literally how it works there. Just like that helping, generous, amazing side of aviation is like alive and well down there in Lakeland with the Aero Club there. So it is worth. Michael send me $20 later for saying this, but it is. It is worth checking out and supporting if you're going to support something in aviation for sure.
Well, and we, whenever you're in Lakeland, the door's open. This is the South. Y'all come back now.
Awesome. All right. I think that's a good place to wrap it up. Everybody in the chat, thank you so much for watching tonight. I see Glenn's here. I see Just Plain Silly was in for a while. Jeff Jensen. All the folks that kind of came in and out throughout the night. So great to have you. Anitra's in the chat. I think a lot of the advice you gave, she was responding positively to that. Some of the advice, man, such mature, grown up young men sitting there, making me feel like I need to maybe get my stuff together. So anyway, everyone, again, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to tune in next week for more like Av Geek excitement on SuperAero Live. My friends down in Lakeland, thank you so much. I know it's late there now. Thanks for taking the time tonight to chat to us. Congratulations on the shared victory at National Stoll, and hopefully I will see you guys in a couple months or something.
Yeah, we have a little fly-in we have here in April. It's a little thing. A couple guys get together. Couple plugs. Bahama party here in our hangar on Tuesday night. So come on by. We're going to have some conch fritters and some rum punch, some conch salad. Thursday, we're going to try to do something for the young aviators in the Ray Foundation Ray Scholar Program with EAA. Hangar doors always open. Come and see us.
Awesome. I will hopefully be there. Everyone else, if you're down in Florida, check them out. Have a good night, everybody. See you guys later.
See you later.